Thank you. I tell you, I get so darn emotional just seeing some of my old buddies, and you know, I, you know, driving down tonight, in my car. Angela says, Art, I hope you're not going to be talking about A.O. Williams, and you come across like you're bragging and all this kind of crap. And I don't know anything but A.O. Williams. And Jim was telling me at dinner tonight that he's having to make a real personal decision to really go build it again, to build some RVPs. And those of you that are not where you want to be, I'm going to talk to you about how we did it. I get emotional, Bob, to see you. I mean, I love these people. I mean, what we went through together. Don't please don't stop. But I mean, what we went through together was just, I relate it to war. I mean, I've seen some of these pictures where these guys go off to war and they're in that foxhole and their best buddy gets their leg blown off, and you bond like you can't believe, and you never forget those. You never forget it. I mean, I remember just like yesterday, me and Rusty, doing the things we did. I'm just like yesterday. And so when I found out that Jim and Mary were going to bring you up here, I mean, I got emotional again. I said, these people are coming to Atlanta to a convention, and they're going to come, a couple of days early and spend money to come up here and spend time with me. It tears me up. It tears me up. And so, I first thought, I said, well, I'm going to go just do a question and answer. I want to find out what they got on their mind, and just, they can ask me what they want, and I'll tell them what I know about how we did it. And then I said, no, I can't do it. I gotta think this thing out. I gotta think that these are my buddies. These are my buddies. They came. They want to hear something. They want to hear how it was. And so I got to work, and I spent a lot of time on what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. Tomorrow we'll start doing question and answers, and we'll ask. You can ask anything you want, and we'll do our best to answer that. But so anyway, get this red brochure. Get this little thing out. I'm a very visual person. And in trying to write Coach, that was the hardest thing, I've tried to do. And it just didn't come out right. It came out pretty good. It's an unbelievable story. But you can't capture, I couldn't. It just wasn't possible to capture what A.O. Williams was like. Just like Jim and Mary up here. I mean, this thing is all about relationships. I mean, I got more enemies. There's more people hate Art Williams in this country than you can believe, But Tracy Bauer used to say, Art Williams has more enemies than anybody I know, but he's got more friends than anybody I know. I know if I had a grandbaby in Kansas City and he had some problems, I could call Jim and Mary and they'd go help him. So anyway, you look at this red brochure. I came up with this idea because I've never been able to capture what we were. I've just never been able to tell people the magnitude of what you just see. We beat Prudential. We beat Prudential New York Life combined. We started out in Atlanta, Georgia. We went to every city, every state, every town. All that's impressive, but it was more than that. It was more than that. It was so unbelievable, I can't even tell you how we did it. You look at this thing right here, March 1967, I was coaching football. I thought all I ever wanted to do was coach. And this part-time job I started in 1967, it changed my life. It changed my life. I was making $10,700 a year as head football coach and athletic director. And if I ever thought about it, Bob, sending our kids to private school, all our kids went to private school, all our grandkids have gone to private schools, and spending $7,000, $10,000 a year, and just all that. I mean, uh, I started making $10,000 or $15,000 a year part-time. Not like selling soap and shoe polish and vitamin tablets and crap like this, but this was a real business. And we had a real chance to change people's lives. And we started in 1967, and all I ever wanted to do was coach. And this gave me a chance to take care of my family financially and give us options financially. And then in 1977, after 10 tough years, we founded A.O. Williams. I'm going to tell you in a minute why we founded it. And we started with 85 people in one city and one state. And then you look at that opposite page there. February 10, 1977, they had 250,000 life insurance agents, 2,000 companies, and 50 regulators. And all those people were against those little people right there. %90 of all insurance sold was cash value life insurance, only 10% term. And then you look 12 years later, December 31st, 1990, how in the living dog crap is that possible? That's impossible. I don't know if I don't think I could do it again. Give me everything in the world out there. I look at that I just don't think, that just is not possible. But we did it. We really did it. We changed an industry, and we changed 1 million lives. And so I wanted to talk to you tonight about how we did it. What was the real secret behind A.O. Williams? You know, Jim, if I was building, you're fixing to go back and start building a base shop again and producing RVPs, and some of you young guys, if you wanted to do it, I've said this so many times, but you know what I hungered for when I made the decision to leave coaching and go in this thing full time? That's the toughest decision I've ever made by far. I speak from my heart now, so I mean I don't pull any punches. So if you don't like it, to hell with you. That's my attitude. And so, but there's so many phonies out there trying to screw you, trying to sell you a dadgum pipe dream, And what I wanted more than anything I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to make a difference with my life. I wanted Angela and my kids to look at me and say, I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of what you stood for. I'm proud of what you did. And so what I wanted was I wanted a real opportunity. I wanted something, if I was willing. I grew up tough. My folks had never had any money. I had the greatest background in the world. But I grew up tough. We greatest life in the world, but I never had all this stuff. And I didn't expect, when I came in here, honest to God, folks, I didn't think I could ever make big money. I didn't think a football coach from Cairo, Georgia, with a PE degree from Mississippi State could make big money. I never thought I could make big money. I never expected to make big money. And all I wanted was a company that was real, that gave me a real opportunity. And I probably wasn't good enough. I probably wasn't tough enough. I probably wasn't smart enough to really make it big, to make big money and do some incredible things. But all I wanted was a company to give me that chance. Give me the dadgum chance and let me go for it. And then when people spoke to me, I wanted them to tell me like it is. Tell me exactly how it is. Don't pull any punches. I don't expect it to be easy. I know it's going to be tough for an old football coach. Tell me how it is. Don't dance around. Don't blow a hot air up my butt. Tell me exactly how it is, because I'm going to do it. And don't you let me do it and then find out you lied to me. You screwed me. You used me. And that's pretty much corporate America. They don't give a living dog crap about the customer out there, about their employees. They screw you and lie to you and use you. The politicians, you can't hardly find an honest politician. They all are a bunch of crooks, or they're incompetent, or both. I mean, all of them. I want to mean half, all of them. Good people don't run for political office today. And I wanted somebody to tell it to me like it is. When we founded A.O. Williams, buddy, I vowed that we were going to tell it to you like it is. We were going to sell the absolute best thing you can sell to the consumer. We had every regulator in every state. This is almost unbelievable, Rusty, but when we were in Atlanta, Georgia together, we had people in Phoenix, Arizona, and San Francisco, and Boise, Idaho, and New York City. We weren't even there, and they were scared of us. They were already, before we even got there, they were bonding together to try to outlaw our term insurance products and replacement and all this kind of stuff. How did we do it? How did we go from one part-time person in 1967 in Columbus, Georgia, a football coach with a PE degree, in the largest industry in the world, to every state, every city, every town, become number one, be number 1 and 2 combined, produce more $100,000 earners, more millionaires than anybody in our era? How did we dadgum do it? So, Jim, when I thought about tonight, I could not tell you how I think we did it, because that's what I just begged for when I gave up coaching and came. This was my life. And for me to give up coaching, all I ever wanted to do and come in this business full time, I wanted somebody to tell it to me like it was. Tell me the tough things. Tell me the good things. Lay it all out there, because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do exactly what you tell me it takes. Dadgummit, don't lie to me. How do we do this? I can't explain it. I dadgum can't explain it. I know this. It's not what we did. I thought for a long time it's what we did is the reason we made it big. I thought we were the right people at the right place at the right time. But you know what? We didn't invent term insurance. Every company had term insurance. We didn't invent mutual funds. We didn't invent part-timers. It wasn't what we did. That wasn't the real key. The real key is who we were. It's who we were. It was the kind of people we attracted. It was their toughness. It was their passion. It was their work ethic. It was their sacrifice. Our people wanted to be somebody so bad it was scary. It was ridiculous. You would think we were almost emotionally unstable. I mean, honestly, folks, it was ridiculous. It's ridiculous you coming up here 2 days early and spending your time and your money to come up here to spend a day and a half with Art Williams. That's ridiculous in most people's mind, but I know why you did it. I know why you did it, because you still got something left to do. That's right. You still got something left to do. And you wanted to come get in a small room with a guy that was going to flat tell you how it is. We wanted to correct an injustice so bad it was scary. We wanted to make a difference with our life so bad it was scary. See, I really, honestly, in my heart, believe it's not what we did that made A.O. Williams. It's not what we did. I think we could have sold refrigerators. I think we could have done a lot of things out there and still conquered the world. I really believe that, Jim. It's not what we did. It's who we were. Someone once said this, and I believe this. He said anybody that's ever been successful had a hero, had someone in their life. Many times it was in high school years where you influenced the most. But they had some hero. They had someone in their life who believed in them. See, if you want to do all you can do in this business, you've got to be a hero to your people. You've got to be a hero to your people. That's what Rusty Crossan was. He was a real hero to those people that knew it. And then you got to make your people feel special. You know, I had, you got those little business cards there? on your table? You know, I got a dry mouth, and it's awful. I'm getting that business card, one of the business cards. I had one hero in my life, Coach Taylor. I started working with him in the 5th grade. I worked with him and played for him through college, 12 years. We had right before he passed away, we had a Coach Taylor Day in that little town I grew up in, Cairo, Georgia. They named the track after him. We had a day of festivities. He had players. He was in that little town for 20 years. And we had players from all over the country that came back to hear their coach, to see their coach, because they knew he didn't have long to go. And after we celebrated that night, he got up to speak. And he handed out this little business card. And this was his coaching philosophy. I spent thousands, not hundreds, but I spent thousands of hours with Coach Taylor, my hero. I don't know why he picked me out, Mary. I don't know why he picked me out. But for some unbelievable reason, he picked me out. And he made me, in every way you want to measure a person, I'm average and ordinary. I was just an average athlete. I was average or below average in school. Every way you can measure somebody, I'm just pretty average. But Coach Taylor made me feel like I was going to conquer the world. He made me feel like I was going to do something important with my life. When I left Cairo, Georgia, I felt good about Art Williams. See, I believe every successful person in their life had somebody like Coach Taylor that made them feel special. And if you want to build something unbelievable like we did at A.O. Williams, and your people don't have that Coach Taylor, you need to be that Coach Taylor. You need to be that hero. You need to let that person know you care about them. You got to let that person know you believe in them. I don't care how bad they've been hurt. I don't care how they've had people put them down, make them feel like crap and all that kind of stuff. You got to find a way to look for the goodness in them. You got to find, see, I'm a believer that everybody has something good in them. And you win by finding that something good in them and then encouraging them. Help them believe in themselves one more time. They almost quit dreaming. They almost gave up. But all of a sudden they find you. You're their hero. And all of a sudden you give them hope. A.O. Williams was so much bigger than making money and selling insurance and selling investments. It gave me hope. That dream I had in high school, it was going downhill a little bit. But all of a sudden, this business gave me hope again. Coach Taylor made some remarks. We were all crying and carrying on. And he handed out this business card. And this was his business philosophy. Do what's right. Do your best. And treat others the way you want to be treated. You know, Coach Taylor was a winner. He was born in California, and the University of Florida offered him a track scholarship. He was a pole vaulter at the University of Florida. He was a fast softball pitcher. He won 2 world championships in softball. MVP, most valuable player, best softball pitcher in the world for 2 years in there. He coached track for 18 years at my high school in Cairo. He won 18 state championships. Not 1, not 2, not 6, but 18. Coach Taylor was so good and so talented and so tough. It was just unbelievable. And this was his philosophy. From the 5th grade on, folks, this is all I've lived. This was my philosophy. This was my core philosophy. This is the way I lived my life. This is the way I played for him in high school. This is the way I played in college. This is the way I coached. This is the way I built A.O. Williams. Do what's right. Do your best. and treat others the way you want to be treated. See, a major point. Most companies out there say, screw the consumer, screw the employees, make as much money and profits as you can, keep that stock price high. Not Coach Taylor. He said, do your best, do what's right, and treat others the way you want to be treated. One of the reasons A.O. Williams did it is we were built on doing what's right. We had a core principle of goodness. Did we screw you up? You betcha. Did we make a lot of mistakes? You betcha. But buddy, our heart was in the right dadgum place. Do what's right. Prudential had a playbook, it's 137 pages. We had a playbook that was 1 page. I never sold anything but term insurance. I never sold a young single guy or gal that didn't need life insurance. 90+% of all of our RVP promotions in A.O. Williams were early. Not too early, just a little early. Because you never want to hold somebody back, and that guy found out you held him back, and then he says you're a low-life, scum-sucking dog. Ain't that right? In this business, relationships are everything. You got to believe in your people, and they got to believe in you. You got to trust your people, and they got to trust you. Well, I never made a sale on the first interview. Never made a sale on the first interview. All the great leaders have the ability to simplify the complicated. Isn't that an unbelievable philosophy Coach Taylor gave me to live by? Do what's right, do your best, and treat others the way you want to be treated. You apply that to your life, Jim, in business, I'm telling you, you got a head start on the world out there. We got a leader right here, the president of Old Edwards, Richard Delaney from London. He's the best in the business. It's unbelievable what he's doing with Old Edwards. You know what his core management philosophy is? Make raving fans. See, great leaders have the ability to simplify the complicated. See, by making raving fans, that means you got to do it all right. You got to welcome people with a smile. You gotta be proud of the quality of your room and your restaurant and your food, and you just gotta do it right? And you make raving fans. Do you know 80% of everybody that comes to Old Edwards comes back to Old Edwards again? See, you gotta have a core philosophy that's right. And it's gotta be simple where you can apply it to your life. If you get an urge in there to hold somebody back because of the compensation program or bonuses, or sell some young single guy or gal insurance, and they don't need insurance because you got to have a sale to make a bonus, the next month. I mean, the temptation is unbelievable, right? But if you've got a core philosophy, somehow you'll muddle through. And it'll pay off for you. At the end, it'll pay off for you by doing what's right and treating others right and doing your best. What we did at A.O. Williams was impossible. We started out with no money. 4th month in A.O. Williams, I get a call from the owner of Financial Assurance, our insurance company, and he said, Art, I was fixing to go downstairs to speak to a room of 400 or 500 people, and he said, at a fast start school, and he said, Art, we're out of money. We don't have any money. 4 months. We were out of money. We had no home office. There were 5 employees in Financial Assurance home office. For years, I would tell Rusty Crossan and Jim and Bob and Rick, all these people, I said, listen, just figure they're going to lose 10 or 20% of every app you send in. Figure that in your cash flow. You're going to get 10 or 20% chargebacks because they're going to lose it. They ain't got no computers. Had to handwrite commission checks. We ran out of apps. We ran out of rate cards. We ran out of everything. It was pitiful. And we're trying to fight the largest industry in the world that's got all the money in the world, got the regulators in their hip. The regulators nothing but a bunch of stinking politicians. And they're trying to outlaw us and all this kind of crap. the enemy, those 250,000 guys in the wrong colored jerseys, they had national life underwriter organization. They had state life underwriter organizations. They had local life underwriter organizations. They all communicated. It was all a big network. 250,000 people. And you know, from the early days while we were still in Georgia, do you know that A.O. Williams was public enemy number one? They knew we had something. And they knew nobody had ever got after them like A.O. Williams got after them. And they knew if they let us survive and let us get big, they were in a bunch of trouble. And they tried to put us out of business every way I could sit here and tell you 100 stories. They had 2 publications. They had a professor in Indiana, Joseph Bell, and they had another guy, I forgot his darn name. Alan Press. Those, I mean, these were educated people that knew you can't, buying life insurance and investing money is nothing but a mathematical problem, right? I mean, any dum-dum, you can't, there ain't no life insurance policy, cash value policy can stand up to buy term and invest the difference in an IRA. You can't do it. It ain't just a little bit of money. You're talking about mega thousands of dollars of difference, right? But they had these 2 experts with credentials and all this crap, and they had publications, and we had this little Better Business Bureau. I used to think the Better Business Bureau was ethical. You know, there's a Better Business Bureau, right? They're trying to keep people, educated on who to do business with, right? They had some little group in the suburb of St. Louis that came out with a warning, a Better Business Bureau on their little heading up there. Warning, don't do business with A.O. Williams. And you know what? Alan Press and Bell got a hold of it. They put it in their publications. They get it to the national life underwriters. They put it in their publication. They get it to the local life underwriters. They put it in their publication. Before you know it, in Hawaii, it'd be years before we got to Hawaii, but they knew A.O. Williams. You don't do business with A.O. Williams because the Better Business Bureau in St. Louis said don't do business with A.O. Williams when they kicked us out of the state in Mississippi and Tennessee. But before we could almost let our people in A.O. Williams know about it, all 250,000 people in the life insurance industry knew about it. That A.O. Williams had been kicked out of Tennessee and kicked out of Mississippi. And then the regulators were in cahoots with these jokers, and they would create laws like before we could replace a policy, you had to pick up the policy, you had to do a comparison statement, you had to send it to the company we were replacing, you had to send it to them and tell them what we were like, and it'd take about a week or 2 to give them time to come back in with all their publications, all their anti-A.O. Williams material, right? What a bunch of crooks we were and all this kind of crap. And then we found out in the Better Business Bureau in St. Louis, the head of the Better Business Bureau was a cash value life insurance agent. Now ain't that something? See, the Better Business Bureau is nothing but a bunch of assholes. You can't trust the Better Business Bureau. I mean, it hurts. You know, when you're out there, you're a football coach and you're trying to make it, and I'm trying to make a sale, I'm trying to recruit somebody, and then the Better Business Bureau comes out and says, hey, Williams is a bunch of crooks, they've been outlawed in Mississippi and Tennessee, don't do business, warning, all this kind of crap. And then my best buddy I've tried to recruit, I go back and see him and he looks at you with a hurt look in his eyes. And say, Art, you ain't nothing but a scum. He didn't, just look, you tell him what he's thinking, right? He didn't say it, but he said, you lied to me, you scum-sucking dog, right? And that kind of, I had to endure all that abuse, all that humiliation for years. Angela had to take it. My kids had to take it, right? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I knew we were right. And I knew if I could just hang in there long enough, if I was just tough enough, if I just plead hard enough, that I was going to get them. That I was going to get them. And it was going to be ugly. And the facts were going to prove that A.O. Williams were right. First 2 years in A.O. Williams, I went around the company and I'd say, folks, the odds are just like this of us doing. I'll never forget Ronnie Barnes telling me years later, he said, Art, I used to take people to Fast Start School, and I just pray. I said, please don't let Art say that to my good people. I'd go every recruiting interview I made, every fast start school I ran, every opportunity meeting I ran, I'd stand up and say, listen, the odds are like this of us surviving. I want you to understand before you come and work at this thing, we're probably not going to be in business tomorrow. Now, how about that? But you know what?
What?
I found out, see, that the real kind of men and women that we wanted, they wanted somebody to tell it to them like it is. The tougher the better. Don't pull any punches. I had one of my favorite all-time quotes you got in your hand. Don't look it up right now. It says, somewhere, someplace, sometime, you're going to have to plant your feet, make a stand, and kick some butt. Ain't that something? That was A.O. Williams' motto. If you want to fight, bring your lunch. Bring your lunch. We'll fight you. We'll fight you. Rusty Crossland. Superhero, supergiant. You know, in Waddell and Reed, they picked Rusty out of my region. I was the vice president in the 5 southeastern states, and Rusty was just one of a kind, as you know, just so dynamic and wonderful. And they picked Rusty to do a pilot program because Waddell and Reed never liked the part-time concept. You know, and they wanted to be full-time professionals. So they picked my best guy, and they put him in a pilot program. And he had a relationship right with the national sales director, bypassed Art Williams. And they paid his office expenses, they gave him a secretary, they gave him money to recruit people full-time and give them a salary and all this kind of crap, you know. And when I decided to leave and found A.O. Williams, I knew Rusty and I were really close. And I knew I'd get him eventually, but I thought it was going to take 3 or 4 months. They would have offered Rusty, he quit before they got to him quick enough. They would have offered Rusty my job. I had 650 people in 5 southeastern states licensed in insurance and securities. And we took 85. So Rusty could have been a vice president for the Southeast United States with 500 and something people starting out with securities and insurance license. Guarantee him $100,000 a year salary, pay all his expenses, you know. I had a little book about this thick, about 6, 7 pages on what we were going to do at A.O. Williams. It took me about 20 minutes to go through it. I've never worked so hard in my life as I did the first 3 or 4 weeks. I'd go out there and make 10 or 20 of those presentations a day. I'd get home at 11. I'd go to bed early. And I'd get home at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and I'd have 15 emergency telephone calls waiting for me. I probably didn't average 2 or 3 hours sleep, you know, for almost a month in there. But I called Rusty, because he was my best buddy, on the phone, and I said, Rusty, I want to see you. I got my car and drove over to Marietta, and Rusty, I went in his house, sat down at his table with he and his wife, and I spent 20 minutes, and I go through what we're going to do at A.O. Williams. And Rusty Crossland said, I'm in. I'm in. Why? Why? Why would a guy take that risk? Why? I went to my car, and as you can tell, I'm an emotional guy. I sat and cried. Because I knew the risk. I said, Art, what if it don't work? It probably ain't going to work. Look what you've done to Rusty. Why did Rusty take that chance? Because Rusty didn't want a job. Rusty didn't want to make a living. Rusty wanted to change his life. He wanted to do something important, really something important. I had another example those first 3 or 4 weeks. My hero in life had left coaching, retired, and I brought him into Waddell and Reed, and I put him in a position in Tallahassee, Florida that's equivalent to an RVP. It was called division manager back then at Waddell and Reed. Had his own office secretary, all this kind of crap. And I flew down to Tallahassee. This was my hero in life. He was getting on older at that time. I flew down to Tallahassee, and I checked into a motel, and I called Coach Taylor. I said, Coach, come over, I want to talk to you. He came over, and I sat down in the room, and I said, Coach, I'm going to start a new company, and I can't let you come with me. It's too risky. You don't need that in your life right now. He was making a 6-figure income. I've never seen Coach Taylor cry. I spent thousands of hours with Coach Taylor. He got up. He He went to the bathroom. He started crying. I could hear him sobbing. Later on, he came to A.O. Williams as an RVP and made more money than ever made in his life. Why did we start A.O. Williams? Why did we risk everything? Why did we risk everything? Because we hated corporate America. We hated those jokers. They looked down their nose at people like me, a football coach with a PE degree that made 400 on his SAT. They were always cutting our commissions. They were always limiting our opportunity. And the final thing that brought the straw, Rusty was in St. Petersburg, Florida at our convention. And I get a call from the national sales director. And they sent me a message. There were 13 regions in Waddell & Reed. We produced like this. We probably beat the next 6 or 7 or 8 combined. And they said, Art, you can open 2 offices next year. And I had 19 people like Rusty that were ready to be promoted. And it made me sick. I just got physically sick, thinking that I had to look at Rusty Crawford and tell him, Rusty, you got to wait 1 more year. See, corporate people that are getting a salary, a year ain't all that long to them, right? But for salespeople out there living on commission, 10 days is like eternity, right? And I had to go look at my good people like Rusty Crossan and say, Rusty, it's going to be 1 more year. I'm sorry, Rusty. You deserve to be promoted right now, but it's going to be 1 more year. And I couldn't take it. Why did we risk everything? Because we wanted to have the freedom to see how good we were. We broke all the records at ITT and Waddell & Reed. And we just wanted a chance. We knew it was only 1% we'd make it or 2% we'd make it, but we wanted a chance to see if we were good enough to kill cash value, to kick credentials butt. Why did we risk everything? Because we wanted to start a company where salespeople were king. That was our motto at A.O. Williams. I had a meeting every month with the home office people, and I said, don't you jokers ever forget that you work for the sales force. The most important people in this company ain't you. You understand that? You got a job only because those people are out there across the kitchen table fighting credential. You understand that? They're living on commission and you're in here on your salary, on your fat butt. You understand? They're the only reason you got a job. Every month that I was president of A.O. Williams, I had that discussion. We want to start a company where salespeople were king, and they were looked at like a king, and they were treated like a king. We were so tired of these MBAs and these Wall Street hotshots that think their crap didn't stink. See, we wanted to kick their ass too, just like we kicked Prudential. Why did we risk everything? Because we wanted no limits. See, unless you're somebody like you don't understand that. That don't mean a lot to people. They don't understand this no limit kind of thing, right? We wanted to create where you couldn't ever not make more. We had no protected territory. You go anywhere you want to. Build it as big as you want to. To build your financial independence, where nobody could put their thumb on you and squeeze you. You know how important that is to this football coach from Cairo, Georgia? See, most people don't understand that. But if you ain't ever had financial independence and you think you got a shot, you think you got a way figured out to do it, this is to put you and your family, maybe even for generations, to put you in a position where nobody can put their thumb on you, to where you can tell everybody to get screwed. Do you know how important that is to somebody like me? Why would we risk everything? Why would Rusty Crossan risk everything? Financial security, permanent job. Why would he risk everything? Because we wanted to have the right to fail if we weren't good enough. We couldn't live with ourselves if we didn't take a chance. We felt like this was our moment. You know Winston Churchill, my favorite all-time quote? He said, in everybody's life there comes a moment This is your moment. And if you're good enough, if you're tough enough, if you're smart enough, and you recognize that moment, and you take advantage of it, that's your finest hour. We wanted, me and Rusty Crossan, and Jim, and Bob, and all these other wonderful people, we wanted to see if we were good enough. We felt like this was our moment. Now that don't mean a lot to most people out there that are not willing to lay it on the line and risk everything, right? But it meant a lot to us. We wanted to have a chance to fail if we weren't good enough. We wanted the freedom to go for it and see if we were good enough. That's why we risked it all. The real key that made A.L. Williams dominant and changed the largest industry in the world is A.L. Williams turned the business of insurance investment into a football game. All of a sudden, we found a way to make business fun. The business, especially the life insurance business, ain't ever been fun, right? The only people that sell life insurance are low-life, scum-sucking dogs, right? People cross the street to avoid talking to you, ain't that right? Yeah. Well, we found a way to make it fun. We made it a game. See, A.L. Williams didn't have employees. We didn't have bosses. A.L. Williams had players. A.L. Williams had coaches. Everything in A.L. Williams, it was so exciting. It was so Jim, get up here introducing me tonight. He said, y'all ain't going to believe this moment. You're not going to believe this guy. He's going to tear your butt up. See, I know how to motivate. I'm a coach. I'm not an MBA from Harvard and Yale and that. I learned from Coach Taylor in Cairo, Georgia. I wouldn't trade that education for 50 Harvard degrees. You understand that? It was who we were. The kind of people we were. Now I know I get home tonight. And Angela's going to say, Art, you know, I can't believe it. You know, you're a madman. You get up there and you scream and you holler and you pound the podium. Why can't you just talk like a civilized human being, you know? You know why? You know why? Why? Because I'm a coach. I'm going to put your dadgum butt on the light poles out there, right? You want to win in this business, you better have the ability to get inside the heart of a man or a woman and put them on the dadgum light pole. If you're going to be around me, I'm going to energize your butt. You understand that? And I turned off a lot of people purposefully. You understand that? We didn't want no MBAs. We didn't want no people coming here dressed up in a three-piece suit. We didn't want no Harvard and Yale's. Right? See, I wanted to run their off quick. I got that learned that in coaching. See, I was going, if you want a uniform, I'd put a uniform on you, and I was going to get you out there on that practice field or that weight room, and I was going to challenge your butt. And if you didn't have the goodies, you wasn't going to quit on me on Friday night on a football game where we lose a dadgum game. I'm going to make you quit out there on the practice field, right? I'm going to make you quit in that weight room, right? Well, that's where it was at A.L. Williams. I was going to electrify your butt. And if I don't get you excited, if you don't feel good about this, don't let the door hit you in the ass. Ain't that right? And you know what, Nicole? You know what, Nicole? See, the women loved it more than the men. See, I used to give out these T-shirts, and it'd say, I am a stud. And I'd give it to a woman. And every now and then, I'd have some woman that would get offended by that. And I'd say, don't let the door hit your little You understand that? Because you know what? You know what? See, that woman would quit on us. That woman would quit on us, right? See, I'm going to challenge your Now, Judd, how you going to edit this thing? Huh? Okay. But ain't that right? Ain't that right? You want to go to work with somebody like me, or you want to go to work with some pansy? Right? What I'm looking for are warriors. If you're not a warrior, let's find out right now, and I'm going to kick your butt out of here. Ain't that right? I ain't going to spend my life screwing around with a bunch of dadgum pansies. Ain't that right? If you go, ain't that right? Okay, dadgum it, that's the way this is the way we had every meeting. Every meeting we ever had. This was it. Hey, this was it. This was A.L. Williams. Right? You know what? You know what? See, the wrong kind of people couldn't take it. They said, you got to be careful. I've had people get up in meetings like this and walk out when I started screaming and hollering. See, I scream and holler and pound the podium for a reason, to get rid of the pansies, to let you know this is something you can believe in. You don't have to be smart. You can be like art. Right? Right. All I want is somebody that can still dream, that can still hope, that can still sacrifice, that can still work. And me and you together, we'll get after somebody's. Yeah. Right? Right. See, the A.L. Williams recruits, the kind of people we wanted to recruit, they didn't want to be insurance agents. These people we recruited, like Art Williams, a football coach, they didn't know if they could even sell something like a $100,000 insurance policy or a $200,000 investment. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know anybody would buy something like that from a football coach. See, I didn't know I could sell IRAs and mutual funds and that kind of crap. I was a football coach. See, A.O. Williams recruits didn't know if we could even understand all the different, every book written about insurance was this thick, complicated words. I couldn't even understand all that crowd. We thought only the Wall Street crowd could understand securities and investments and stocks and bonds and all that kind of crap. Our recruits couldn't understand that. They didn't know they could understand that. And the kind of people we recruited in A.L. Williams, they couldn't stand the thought of talking to strangers, calling a stranger on a cold telephone, knocking on a stranger's door. I've never done that in my life. Going in a stranger's home. That's nauseating. That's repulsive to people like me. But you know what? What? Almost every man and every woman in these United States has played on a team. They grew up playing on some kind of team. And they didn't understand insurance. They didn't understand investments. They didn't understand if they could sell. They didn't understand all that kind of crap. But when Art Williams stood up there and said, we're going to put a uniform on you, and you just go out there and hit anybody in the wrong color jerseys, instantly they got that. They said, if this thing is right, you give me something's right. And then you got an enemy out there that's screwing somebody. I can understand that. And you tell me to go punch their lights out? I like that. I don't want to be an insurance agent. I don't want to go in some stranger's home. But if you're telling me a Prudential agent's walking down the street and go knock his off, I can understand that, right? The A.L. Williams people could understand that. Hey, see, the A.L. Williams people could remember what it was like out there on Friday night at 8 o'clock at kickoff. All week you're getting ready. You're getting ready. You can hardly sleep. You're just getting all pumped up. And then it comes Friday. 5:30, you get to the locker room. The coaches start taping you up, putting your uniform on. It's 7 o'clock. You run out on the field. The band's playing. Your little girlfriend's up there in the stands. Man, you're about to explode out of your dadgum uniform, right? Man, you look down the field at those enemies in the wrong colored jerseys, right? And you just hate them. You want to get after their ain't that right? Right. You go back in the locker room and the coach says, let's go get them. And you charge out. You know what? What? See, the A.L. Williams people that we wanted, they wanted to see if they could roll the clock back 30 or 40 years. They wanted to see if they still had it. If they could still put a uniform on. If they could still suck it up. If they could still get after somebody. Now you know what? What? See all these prima donnas, these fancy degrees, these fancy talking people. They can't stand. They don't understand that. They don't understand that one bit. That don't even register with those people. They say, what is that guy talking about? That's just, see, Don't let the door hit you. Ain't that right? But you know what? You know what? The people you could build a business with, they understand it. They get it. They get it. They want to join something like that. They want to hit somebody. They want to correct an injustice. That's the way we did it. That's the way we did it. See, almost everybody out there is bored with their job. They hate their boss. They hate their income. Almost everybody that we recruited, they didn't know about insurance and investment, but you know what they knew? When Prudential sold them a $15,000 whole life policy for $20 a month, and A.O. Williams came in there and replaced that with $150,000 for the same $20 a month, every A.O. Williams recruit knew what it was like to get screwed. See, the A.O. Williams recruits, they knew when 90% of all the life insurance agents owned $150,000 of term that they paid $20 a month for, but they sold me $150,000 of cash value for $200 a month. See, they knew when we pointed out to them how they had been screwed. And see, the people that we built A.O. Williams with, all 250,000 of them, they knew they'd been screwed, or they knew somebody in their family probably, or a friend that had been screwed. See, they screwed my mama. Well, see, people like me that come from Cairo, Georgia, you don't mess with my mama. See, it was personal to me. I went out to them. I didn't even know. Hey, 3 months it took me to get my insurance license and securities license. Nobody ever told me at ITT how much money you made on a sale. Nobody. I was so passionate about this business, it was ridiculous. I went out and made my first sale to my assistant coach, Robert Kelly, and I replaced their $10,000 trash value policy with a $100,000 turn and their $50 going into a teacher's credit union with the $50 into a mutual fund. And I left that house. I was so pumped up. They were hugging me and kissing me and telling me how wonderful we were. I'd changed their life. I'd changed their dadgum life. If somebody done that to my daddy, my mama would have had it easier. And they were hugging me and kissing me, and my manager went with me on the first and only time, and he said, all right, let's go get a cup of coffee, and let's review everything. We reviewed all that and all that kind of stuff. After 4 months, he said, all right, let's figure out how much money you made. He said, you just made $324. Folks, that's the biggest paycheck I've ever made. I've had paychecks in the millions. Nothing ever equaled that $324. I used to run up and down that basketball court for 12 hours, for 3 hours and make $12. That's the kind of jobs I was used to. Selling Christmas trees 2 weeks before Christmas, freezing your butt off. We'd divide the money up, working 2 weeks, and we'd make $50, but that was enough to pay for Santa Claus, right? And you tell me I go in this house and take these people who had a bunch of dog crap and take the same money, not asking them to spend more money, take the same money they were spending and give them 8 to 10 times more value, change their whole life, and you're going to pay me $324? You've got to be kidding me. The next 2.5 years, I saved $42,000. More than my daddy saved by a bunch in 30 years of working. A.O. Williams changed my whole life. Every person in A.O. Williams, all 250,000 of us, we had been screwed. And we knew we'd been screwed. And we knew who was doing the screwing. That's right. And we were going after them. That's how we endured. It was emotional. It was a heart thing. You know what? What company talks like that? Who you know talks like that? I'll tell you 250,000 people that talk like that. Let's take a short break. He didn't miss one word. He didn't miss one emotional. It was eating his butt up. He could hardly stand it. So you've got to have the ability as a coach to pick out the studs, the people that want it. to people that he wanted it.
Still do.
I mean, what's this worth?
Everything, Art.
Eric, come up here a second, please. You know, I've been working with the Hughes and the Nearings. I ain't probably done nothing for them, but, you know, at least I've communicated a little bit for them. And so they send me these Oklahoma Leader Bulletins every month. And this guy for 3 years, every month, is #1. Now, I want him to, now, you know what? Eric, you know what? See,
You're fired.
No.
You remember
See,
that?
you're looking at another guy that did something like that. Every month, everybody's looking at my butt at ITT and Waddell and Reed. You know, in 1984, Eric, we went after Prudential. I called an emergency RVP meeting in Atlanta, Georgia, and I started handing out T-shirts that said, "I won't prove bad." You know, now, Harvard people and Yale people, they don't get all this crap. Right? I had boxes of these things, Eric, after I left the company. I got 2 left right now.
Wow.
2. And I'm going to give you one tonight. And I'm the, hey, Eric, I'm the only other person that's got the other one. And I ain't giving that to nobody. But I'm giving that to you, Eric, because, you know, how good you are, how tough you are. I'm proud of you. Thank you. Okay, we're trying to identify who we were. Who we were. Now, I don't know if some of y'all have caught that yet, but Jared caught it, right? I just got through telling him in an hour. See, it wasn't by term and invest the difference. I thought for a long time that was the key. You know? It wasn't that 90% of the people out there own trash value life insurance. I thought for a long time that was the key. I found out the real key to A.L. Williams and what we did was who we were. It was just like you, the kind of people, just like you, people that couldn't stand it. They wanted to be somebody so bad it was ridiculous. See, most people don't understand that, Jerry. See, I understand it. I was just like you. I was sitting out there just like you, listening to people talk, you know. I wanted to make it so bad I couldn't sleep at night. I wanted to be somebody so bad it just ate me up inside. Most people don't understand that, Jared, but I understand it. I understand how bad you want it. I understand how much you love it. I understand how tough you are. See, that's the kind of people, when I had an op meeting, when I had a fast start school, I speak, I had the ability to identify people like that. I can beat somebody's butt with that kind of guy in that foxhole with me. I was looking for warriors. People that would get after your butt. People that wouldn't run from a fight. See, I found out I could win with guys like that. That's who I want on my team. If you were a pansy, I'm going to check you out. By the way I talk, if the way I talk offends you, great. I'm glad, I'm so happy, because I want to get rid of you right now and not have to screw around trying to get you licensed and get you trained, and then you pansy out, right? Let's get you out as quick as we can, right? You couldn't get that guy out. You couldn't get that. It don't get too tough for him. Me and him together, wow. You think somebody goes to Tom Hopkins school, or, you know, some Prudential guy that comes in with a 3-piece suit, you know, and he talks so nice and he talks so professional, he's got this fancy briefcase with these computers in it and all that kind of crap. You think he can play with me and him? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Ain't that right, Jared? I mean, it's just, man, you got a teammate like that. This is who we were. It wasn't what we did. It's who we were. If you want to win, you got to be a coach. You got to get in people's hearts. You got to let people know they can trust you. They can believe in you. That you're not going to let them down. That you'll be there to fight with them. Right? That you're tough. That you're committed. What company talks like that? That's right. You do. But not enough. But you know what, Jim? Talking like that helped us identify the best people in the community. See, we could recruit doctors and lawyers and teachers and coaches and policemen and firemen. They wanted to be somebody and had somebody like Coach Taylor that was telling them, do your best. Do what's right. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. See, because of who we were, we could go into a community and we could recruit the best kind of people, the toughest kind of people, just like Jared, right? And you can win a war with somebody like that, right? Right. Every player in AOE, I had 4 y'all at the break right then come up and tell me how you had been screwed. See, another key point. See, at AOE, we believe when we founded this company February 10, 1977, that all the business stuff is easy. See, all our recruits, all the people that looked at AOE early on, they really, in their mind, I never thought I could make big money. I didn't even know that I could even understand the complex world of insurance and the complex world of in business. But all I knew is I was like this guy right here. I was one tough, get up and get after it dude, and if you'll put a uniform on me and you'll identify the enemy and you tell me that I'm screwing somebody like my mama, okay, and tell me to go sick them and hit them, then buddy, you got me. We'll eat your lunch. You understand that? See, I found out, Jared, that all the business stuff is easy. You know, Tom Hopkins tells you how to get referrals and what to say here. You know how you say, you know, when I got through talking, just like tonight, I talk, and then I just ask somebody, how's this sound? I do everything you're not supposed to do, according to the professionals, right? And if they say, well, I don't like it, then I talk another hour, okay, right? And I ask them, how's it sound, right? See, I ain't worried about offending you, saying the wrong words, you know, all that kind. You know, I don't want to be a professional salesman. I dress like a coach, right? I sold all but 99% of my business in coaching shorts, right? That was my theme, right? If that turned you off, good. Ain't that right? Right. See, all the business stuff I found out later on, it was easy. It's a piece of cake. Getting a license is nothing. Any dum-dum can get a license. You understand that? In ITT, when I started, when Rusty Crossan started, we were self-taught. They handed me a manual. They said, here's what you got to learn. Okay? Go get it. We didn't have no training classes, no licensing class, none of that kind of crap, right? The getting a license is nothing. Don't tell me how hard it is. It's nothing. Understanding life insurance is nothing. Understanding securities is nothing. Learning how to recruit is nothing. Learning how to sell is nothing. That's nothing. Anybody can do that, but it's who are you? Who are you? Who are you? What kind of person are you? The key, listen to me, folks, I found out the key to winning at A.O. Williams, doing what we did on this red brochure here, that's impossible. I don't think I could do it again. Rusty, I don't believe me and you together could do it again. Bob, I don't believe me and you and Rusty together could do it again. I don't believe we could do it again. I just don't seem humanly possible, right? But we did that. We did that. You know one of the key reasons we did that? Is because we learned how to communicate. We learned how to communicate. See, it's your responsibility as a leader to motivate them, to get them ready to play. That's what a coach does. Getting them licensed, teaching them the business, teaching them how to make a presentation, that's Mickey Mouse crap. Any dum-dum can learn all that kind of stuff, but what are you made out of? How bad do you want it? See, all great coaches are great encouragers. All great coaches. Coach Taylor had a way of making me feel like a superstar, and I wasn't. I was just very average as an athlete, but he absolutely made me feel like I was an all-state player. I got a college scholarship in football. And I wasn't all that good. I saw, do y'all remember Dan Reeves that played with the Dallas Cowboys and coached all these years? His brother was in town last week, Rusty, on Main Street down at Kilman's. He was up here playing at the member guest tournament at Highlands Country Club. I went up there to get an ice cream. Who were we with? Carolyn Hartman. Me and Angela and Carolyn Hartman, a friend from Birmingham, was down there getting an ice cream. I'll go up there. John, one of my friends from Highlands Country Club, Dan Reeves' brother was his partner. So we sit there and he says, you know, I'm Dan Reeves' brother. Americus, Georgia was like 60 miles from Cairo. They were one of our bitter enemies. Dan Reeves was a year younger than me. We played him since he was that little, and we killed him every year. We owned Americus, Georgia. You know? And I said, let me tell you Dan Reeves' story. I got a football scholarship to Presbyterian College. I was up there, I was a freshman. Dan Reeves was still a senior in high school. I get a call when I was a freshman at Presbyterian from Coach Hightower, Dan Reeves' brother. I was talking to his brother. Coach Hightower was Dan Reeves' coach. He says, Art, you know Dan needs a scholarship. His family can't afford to send him to college. You know what a great player he is, you know. Go talk to Coach Jones and tell him, you know, to give him a scholarship. I go sit down with my head coach. I say, Coach Jones, Coach Hightower just called me, said Dan Reeves needs a scholarship. I played with him since he was that little. He's a great player. You ought to give him a scholarship. Coach Jones, who left there and went on to become an offensive coordinator at Mississippi State and then went on to become a head coach at the University of Richmond, he looks at me across the table and he says, Art, you're our quarterback of the future. We don't have any scholarship for another quarterback. So he kept me instead of Dan Reeves. And ain't that weird? Huh? This guy goes on and becomes an All-American at South Carolina, Dallas Cowboy superstar, NFL pro. Ain't that something? I met his brother last week and told him the Dan Reeves story. See, great coaches are great encouragers. Every successful person I've ever met, not almost every successful person, every successful person I ever met learned how to look inside the heart of a man or a woman and find their good points. Coach Taylor looked at Art Williams. I don't know how he found it. I didn't have many good points. But he found something good he liked about Art Williams, and he made me feel like a superstar. He was my hero. That's what you got to be. You got to have the ability to look in the heart of who wants to join your team and find their good points and praise them and let them know you believe in them and make them feel special, make them feel important. How do you get people to believe in themselves? How do you get people excited? How do you put people on the dadgum light pole? How do you do it? That's the key. That's the key, Jared. If you're going to build something like this, you've got to learn how to put people on the dadgum light pole. You ain't going to be around me, and I'm not going to electrify your butt if you're the right kind of person, right? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you get people? How do you get people? How do you put them on the light pole? Get this little thing out here. I did for you. This is the A.O. Williams Code for a leader. This is the A.O. Williams Code for a leader. This is going to help you so much when you take this back to your home and you have a meeting and you say, this was A.O. Williams Code for a leader. You want to do something like this, then you got to be this kind of leader. I spelled it out for you. Just the way you got to feel. I want to motivate people to believe in themselves. I believe everybody wants to be somebody. Bill Arunda said, told me early on, he says, Art, I've never heard another single individual say, everybody wants to be somebody. See, you got to say that as a leader. You got to believe it. Everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to be somebody. I believe everybody has something good in them. That was part of our code at A.O. Williams. You know, if I wanted a tight end that was 6'3" and ran a 4.4 40, but I had a guy that was 5'10" and ran a 5'2", you know, that was my guy, right? I had to make him feel like he was 6'3" and could run a 4.5. Ain't that right?
That's right.
See, everybody has something good in them, and it's your job as a leader to find it and then praise them and let them know you believe in them. See, I believe everybody wants a chance. I believe everybody wants a real chance. I believe every player wants to play from somebody like me that's going to tell you how it is, going to put you on a uniform and say, sick 'em. Right?
Right.
I will not ever give up on you. I want you to understand, if you give me your $100, you got enough confidence in me, you got enough confidence in A.L. Williams, you trust me enough to give me that $100, I want you to know I'm going to see this thing through with you. I ain't ever going to give up on you. It don't ever get too tough for me. I sell hope and opportunity, not insurance and investments. If you don't understand that, you'll never be a great motivator. Anybody can learn insurance. Anybody can understand investments. Nobody. Nobody could sell hope and opportunity like me and those leaders in A.L. Williams. I believe right is always right. Not sometimes right. Not almost right. Right is always right. Coach Taylor told me on his little business card, always do what's right. I spent the next 12 years working for him and playing for him. I spent 7 years in coaching. I spent 20 years in the insurance and investment business. And that was my code. That was my code. Right is always right. If you're not supposed to sell on the first interview, you don't sell on the first interview. Right? I don't care if it costs you a $10,000 bonus this month because you don't make that last sale on the 30th day. You know, right's always right. Right? It'll pay off for you long range. I'll give you everything I got. You give me your $100 and you pledge to come to work at A.O. Williams, I'll give you everything I got, Jared. I mean everything I got. And you know what, Jared?
What?
That's a bunch. You ain't going to meet many people like me in your life, Jared.
That's right.
Buddy, I'll get after it. You understand that? I'll flat get after it. I'm going to give you a chance, and I ain't ever going to give up on you, and I'm going to be there with you no matter how tough it gets. I'll give you everything I got, and I got a bunch. But I ain't going to quit with you. If it gets too tough for you, Jared, if you're a pansy, you want to suck it up, you want to pansy out, I ain't going to quit with you, Jared. I'm a termite forever. You understand that, Jared? Let's go into this thing, right? I'm going to give you everything I got, and that's a bunch, Jared. But if you ain't tough enough, I ain't going to quit with you. You understand that, Jared?
I do.
If you throw in the towel, get your ass out of here, right? I ain't going with you. I'm planting my tent at A.O. Williams. I'm seeing this thing through forever. You know what?
Why?
That was worth you guys coming to Highlands, North Carolina right there. I'm looking for warriors. We're going to destroy trash value. Folks, it's hard for you to believe this. I mean, I wouldn't believe it if I was you probably. But back February 10, 1977, when there was one little dot there, and they had all those that were enemies out there, you know, folks, we honestly talked about beating Prudential. See, I told Rusty Cross and all those original people, folks, the odds are about like this of us making it. We probably are not going to be in business tomorrow. I want you to understand the risk you're taking, right? I don't know why you do it. You're probably stupid to do it, right? I don't know why we're risking it all. Chances are about like this of us surviving. But you know what? I believe we're going to do it. If you ask me, Art, how do you honestly feel? My head tells me we can't do it. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no home office. We ain't got no supplies. Most powerful industry in the world in the wrong colored jerseys. My head tells me we're not going to do it. But I don't know. There's something in here that says we're going to do it. I believe we're going to do it. I really do. I know it's stupid. I know it don't make any sense. But I believe we're going to do it. I believe we're going to be among the highest paid people in American business out there. I believe we're going to take our leaders to all over the... I took my first airline ride at age 27 at ITT. First time I got on an airplane to fly to Denver, Colorado. I said, one day, I really believe deep inside, we're going to take our leaders to all the great places in the world. We're going to Europe. We're going to Hawaii. My head says we can't do it. My head says we can't do it. I believe it in here. We're going to do it. I believe we're going to do it. I believe we're going to. You know what? I tell you all, I just wish. I know some of you that ain't ever seen me like this. I know it's hard for you to believe that I was like this all the time. Folks, I was like this all the time. Somebody told me a while ago, you listen to hundreds of hours of my tapes on the thing, right? I was like that all the time. Jim, when I thought about you coming up here, you and Mary, it tore me up. I know you said, you know, here, I'm going to figure out a cheap way to get to see art. You know, we're going to have to pay our airline fare in here anyway, and all that kind of crap, you know. But it still blows me away that you would come up here, knowing you got to go down to Atlanta and spend 5 days down there, but you'd come up here and spend 2 days with me. I had to do it. I mean, here I'm supposed to be a billionaire, and I got all this crap, you know, the #4 hotel in the world and all this kind of crap, you know. And I ain't got to get up here and scream and holler at you, right? Ain't that right? I mean, I don't have to do that, right? If I didn't care about you. I wanted to tell you how we did it and the way we felt. It wasn't what we did. I thought it was for a long time. I thought it was buy term and invest the difference. I thought it was replacing trash value life insurance. It wasn't about what we did. It was about who we were. We were so dadgum tough, so dadgum motivated. Jim, I could not spend 2 days with y'all and not tell you. Not tell you one. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it to some of the young people in here that ain't ever seen me before like this, Jared. I couldn't do it. I had to tell you the truth. It was who we were. It was not what we did. Nicole and Matt gave me a letter from one of y'all's people that had a cash value policy, and they didn't know about insurance and all that kind of stuff. And they borrowed, I think they had $3,000 cash value. Maybe it was $6,000, I don't know what it was, but they borrowed that cash value out. They didn't know you had to pay interest on that money. And about 30 years later, they found out that $3,000 cash value they had, they owed the company $20-something thousand. Ain't that something? And then you lose it if you die. See, A.O. Williams saw all this. We saw all this at ITT and Waddell and Reed. They pay 1.3% interest. The FTC said in 20 years, they charge you 7% to buy. We said, wow, we can make a difference. This is my chance. Just like Winston Churchill said. I don't know why my accountant cousin came to that family reunion at my mama's house and showed me buy term and invest the difference. I don't know why, but he did. I don't know why. All I wanted to be was a football coach. And I saw that and it changed my life. Just like that. I don't know why 3 weeks later I went to a PTA meeting. I never went to a PTA meeting. Probably went to 2 of them in 7 years. And I asked this guy at the refreshment stand. His son didn't play football. I didn't know him. I said, what do you do? He said, I work with ITT Financial Services. We sell term insurance and mutual funds. Something just happened to me. It was unbelievable. I recognized we had a chance to do something, to be part of something historic, to look back. Do you know what? When they put me in the ground, they can say I was the biggest scum-sucking dog in the world, you know, and all that kind of crap, you know, but they can't ever take that away from me, right? Right? Is that right? My first football team taught me something. 5th game of the year, my first year, we were playing Waycross, Georgia. They had a nose guard that went to Florida State and became an All-American. They had a fullback went to Nebraska, became all Big 8 or whatever they were, back then. They had 7 or 8 Division I prospects. They were number 1 in the state of Georgia. I didn't have a person from my town had ever gone to college on a football scholarship. They hadn't beat Waycross in 12 years. It's the only football game I've ever gone into as a coach that I knew we were going to lose. I scouted them personally a couple times. I said, there's no way we can stop that nose guard. My center was like 165 pounds. I'd keep him after practice all week long, and I'd take my other guy that was one of my tougher defensive players that weighed about 175, 80 pounds, This kid weighed about 220 or something. And he couldn't even block my own guy, And I said, we're not even going to be able to get the snap off. My quarterback ain't even going to be able to get the ball to my fullback. Only game I've ever gone into, I knew we were going to lose. Just like, when we start A.O. Williams, my head says we can't beat them. There's no way. We can't win. We can't. Ain't no way. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no home office. No way we can beat Prudential, all these companies. But I told the kids, I said, you know what? We're going to shock the state. We're going to shock the state. We beat them. We beat them. The number 1 team in the state. They had so much more talent than us, it wasn't even funny. We beat them. And they taught me a lesson I never forgot. That if you want it bad enough, if you love it enough, if you won't be beat, if you won't quit, you can beat anybody. You win with your heart, Coach Lombardi said, not your head. He said you capture a man's heart. You capture man. I told Jared at the break a while ago, I said, Jared, every time I speak, I look in the audience and I try to find somebody that's following every word. Let's listen to every word. That's taking it every word in. I said, you're that man tonight, Jared. You didn't miss nothing. You listened to every word. Coach Lombardi said you capture the heart. See, I never talked about the money first. See, we talked tough at A.O. Williams. This was no game at A.O. Williams. This was our life. This is all we knew was coach talk. We turned the insurance business and the insurance business into a football game. That's who we were. We were not in the insurance business. We were not in the investment business. We were in the people business. We were building people, not sales. See, I really believe a college degree. My kids get so mad at me talking about this. I just had a kid graduate from Georgia a month ago. One graduated from Ole Miss a month ago, And I've told them all the way through. I said, quit college. You don't learn that. It ain't worth a damn. The college professor ain't ever done nothing. They don't know how to win because they ain't ever won, right? You don't know it until you've done it, right? That's what's wrong with all the politicians. Good people, successful people don't run for political office. They don't do it. So all of them are a bunch of fools, right? They all are crooks or incompetent. All of them. Now, that's not really true. There might be 1%. You know about the 1%ers, right? But I cannot remember, Bob, one thing I learned in college that helped me. Not one. I can't even remember a college professor's name. Right now, I can't remember one. I got a master's degree from Auburn. I can't remember one thing I learned that helped me win out there. Because the people that were teaching me ain't ever done it. See, Tom Hopkins? Huh? Right? That's the reason field training is so important. See, when Rusty and I started A.O. Williams, we believed every person you got into business, if I go recruit Jared, then I was going to get him the first week. I was going to get him in the field in his warm market with 3 or 4 or 5 of his best friends. I was going to field train him to a district leader. That was my goal, to field train him to a district leader. I was going to field train. We're going to make 3 or 4, 5 or 6 sales, and I was going to help build him a team. See, I felt an obligation. I felt a responsibility. If I recruited somebody like Jared, I promised him I was going to give him everything I got. Right? And if he left, then that $100, I wanted to go make 3 or 4 or 5 sales for him where he'd get $300 or $400 or $500 back. And if somebody asked him about A.O. Williams, he'd say, man, that's the greatest thing since ice cream. I got a gal in Palm Beach right now that's a nurse that gives me and Angela massages, 2 or 3 or 4 of them every week while we're down in Palm Beach. She went to an A.O. Williams opportunity meeting. She saw Art Williams. She never got a license. She never made a sale. But she said, Art A.O. Williams changed my life because I heard you talk about how you can pay off your mortgage in 15 years instead of 30 years. How you could save $150,000 on my mortgage and be debt-free. I was a divorced mama with 2 babies. And you know what? I own my house. I own my house debt-free because of A.O. Williams. Greatest company in the world. She said, I just wasn't a salesperson, but it's the greatest, it changed my life. See, I just happen to believe your reputation's everything. I just happen to believe if you go out there and you recruit anybody and you charge them $100 and then you send them to Tom Hopkins and he charges $200 to come here in his crowd and then you pay him another $200 or $300 for his books and his tapes and all that kind of crap and you get 5% of your people licensed. So they leave. And somebody asked them, what about A.O. Williams? And they said, the biggest screw job that's ever been. They ain't nothing but a multi-level marketing organization. You know, they don't have any interest in you, you know. It's just a big scam. See, I happen to believe your reputation's everything. I was going to give you everything I got, Jared, and that's a bunch. Right? And if you left, and a lot of our people want just to make $200 or $300 or $400, go buy a TV and sit home and watch it. Right? But if that's what you want, that's great. I want you to get whatever you want. Right? But then when somebody asks you about A.O. Williams down the road, you're going to say, that's the greatest bunch of people I ever met. Right? I happen to think that means something. Another key principle in this thing of who you are is building personal relationships. See, it breaks my heart for people that recruit hundreds of people, don't get 5% of them licensed, 10% of them licensed, nobody's field trained, send them to Tom Hopkins, they go spend $400 or $500, they get nothing back, you know. You just screwed them. You just screwed them. See, you got to build personal relationship, and this is a one-on-one business. It ain't ever going to be nothing but a one-on-one business. See, you don't bring people to a meeting first, an opportunity meeting first. I want to talk to you about that in just a minute. I know I've gone long, you know, but I'm going to finish this thing. I work off on what I'm talking about, okay? So y'all hang with me, okay? It's a one-on-one business. And see, most people don't want to give the time. They don't want to give the time. And a lot of it's because you don't recruit the right kind of people. You recruit young single people. You recruit people that unemployed, that got a lot of debt. See, we believe that A.O. Williams, that desire and determination was everything. Another handout you got, I'm not going to go over with you. You heard me say this a million times. The difference is this much, Jared. It's desire and determination. So you do 99% of the things right and not do this much, and you're going to fail. You can screw up every day, but do this much like I did, and you're going to win. All you got to do is this much, and that's desire and determination. If you got the right kind of stuff, I'll teach you everything else. All you need is who you are. Who you are. What's your core principles, right? If you're the right kind of person, give me your $100. Go set me up 3 or 4 appointments with your friend, and we're going to get out there, and you're going to be, I'm going to put your butt on the light pole. See, I was a coach. I taught like a coach. I dressed like a coach. I motivated like a coach. See, your number one responsibility is to create this environment, create this bubble in your office, this totally positive, totally excited, where most people out there got a boring job. They hate the job. They hate the boss. They just hate going to work. But when they come in my office, we had part-timers that would go over there to that old dull job, but then they'd come in out my office and they could just smell it. They could just feel it. Matt, Nicole, come up here a second. I met these two wonderful people in Tulsa about 3 years ago, and I started working with them. And I got to know what they were made out of. And they were made out of the right stuff. They're made out of the right stuff. But one thing that I loved about them is they create this environment. You know, when they had a tornado hit Oklahoma City about a year or two ago, they had people from all over the country, primarily, send them crap, the water, bottled water and food and stuff like that. People didn't have nothing. And they loaded their office up from floor to ceiling. Didn't have no office where you could go to work. Okay, it was stored with stuff, trying to help some people get back on their feet. That's who we were. Yep. That's who we were. That's what made us different, right? Right. Love you too. You gotta create this bubble. You gotta live in this bubble. You gotta live in this environment in your office that's totally positive, totally exciting. One thing I won't put up with is a pansy or somebody with a negative attitude. If you ain't got a positive attitude, just get out of my life, right? I can't take it. I can't take it. You got to show your people you care. You got to show your people you care. It ain't good enough to care. It ain't good enough to love somebody. You got to have the ability to show them. Just like I met every one of you tonight. I got to stay behind this because we got the mic here. Every one of you tonight, I didn't shake a single hand. I hugged everybody here tonight. Some of you I ain't ever met. Right? See, you don't have a football player meet another football player and shake hands. Ain't that a pile of it? That's the most cold, artificial care thing you can do, is shake somebody's hand. This your brother that's in that foxhole with you, right? A football player sees a football player, they chest pump or they hug them. You want to win? Become a hugger. I write a letter. For the last 40 years, I've probably averaged writing a letter every day after the first couple of years that I got out of depression when I left the company. Right now today, if you go around to the offices tomorrow, well, maybe tomorrow afternoon you could walk around some of the offices, you'll see my letters on the wall. Every day, I write somebody a letter and tell them how great they are, how special they are, how much they mean to me, how much they mean to old Edwards. Where did I learn this kind of motivation? Where did I learn this kind of motivation? Yeah, I didn't learn it at Mississippi State. I didn't learn it at Auburn. I learned it from Coach Taylor, my hero. He taught me. I learned it out there coaching those high school kids. I learned it from Coach Bryant over at Alabama, another one of my many heroes. Get this brochure out, if you will. Let me go through this with you. I know this has taken a lot of time, but what could you do more important? Huh? This is who we were. Coach Bryant's talks like, what makes a good coach? Isn't that what you want to know, Jared? What makes a good coach? That's important, right? Because I said we turn this into a football game, right? We talk like a coach. We talk tough, right? So you'd like Coach Bryant might be the best football coach that's ever lived. So it'd be nice to know what he says makes a good coach, right? You know, Jared, what he says in this little article that you got right now, you need to memorize every word of it. You know what he says? He doesn't talk about the wishbone offense, the pro set, the 53 defense. You know what he talks about? I'm going to give you a couple of them on the first page. Mama wanted me to be a preacher. I told her coaching and preaching were a lot alike. But it's still a coach's game. Make no mistake, you start at the top. If you don't have a good one at the top, you don't have a cut dog's chance. If you do, the rest falls into place. You have to have good assistants and a lot of things. But first you have to have the chairman of the board. I think the most important thing of all for any team is a winning attitude. The coaches must have it. The players must have it. The student body must have it. That's that environment, Nicole and Matt. If you have dedicated players who believe in themselves, you don't lead a lot of talent. Wait, that's Coach Bryant. Ain't that something? You ain't got to go recruit the MBAs and the smartest people in the world. You ain't got to have a lot of talent if you're the right kind of person. If you got the right... Does that make sense? Yeah. This is Coach. This ain't Art Williams saying that. But I listen to people. That's what I grew up in. I didn't listen to the professors. I didn't listen to Tom Hopkins and those kind of people. Right? I want to listen to a winner. A stud. A triple stud. Look at the next page. The idea of molding men means a lot to me. I had one old hairdresser back there write me a letter and tell me her story a few months ago. And I wrote her back and had the wrong address, so I had to send it to Nicole and Matt, and they finally got it to her, you know. Her story tore me up. Just tore me up. I could not write her back and tell her that I loved her. I wish I'd had her in 1977 on those original 85. You must learn how to hold a team together. You must lift some men up, calm others down until finally they have one heartbeat. Then you got yourself a team. Your number one responsibility, A.O. Williams, is to know how to build a team. That's your number one responsibility. Listen to this. The old lessons, work, self-discipline, sacrifice, teamwork, fighting to achieve, aren't being taught by many people other than football coaches these days. The football coaches has a captive audience and can teach these lessons because the communication lines between himself and his players are more wide open than between kids and parents. How about that? See, I said, you know what you got to become is a hero to your people. Isn't that something? We better teach these lessons or else this country's future population will be made up of a majority of crooks, drug addicts, and people on relief. How about that? How about that? See, we turned the business of insurance and investments into a football game. We talked about the hard stuff. Look at it. Set goals, high goals for you and your organization. We talked for day one about beating Purdue, about destroying trash value. And we did it. Set high goals for you and your organization. When your organization has a goal to shoot for, you create teamwork. You want to know how to create teamwork? Talk about people being somebody. Talk about giving people a chance to become financially independent where nobody can put their thumb on them and squeeze them. You know how many people out there work for a company that has a person offer them that kind of opportunity to talk to them like that? All of a sudden you got a team. You got a team. You got people that want to follow you. Right? Look down here. Losing don't make me want to quit. It makes me want to fight that much harder. Go to the next page, third page. What are you doing here? Hey, Jim, can you and Mary tell that I worked hard preparing this? I worked hard preparing this. I mean, this wasn't just thrown together. You understand that? I gave this a lot of thought. I wanted to tell you how it really was. I wanted you to leave here knowing how it really was. Knowing what A.L. Williams had that gave us a chance to do this. I mean, I could have come up here and blow smoke up your butt, and we could talk about how to build a base shop and build 5 direct teams and that do 5 and 10 sales and all that kind of crap. You might want to talk about some of that tomorrow, but you really don't need nothing else. You got all you need, and I got a couple more good things, and you got more than you need, quite frankly. Right? I worked my ass off to get ready for this. I love my team. I love my teammates. They're the right kind of people. They love it. They want to make it. They want to be the right kind of coach. They want to be a hero to their players. I'm trying to talk to you how to be a coach, how to change people's lives. Boy. If there's one thing that helped me as a coach, it's my ability to recognize winners. How about that, Jared? I called him up here at the break. I said, Jared, I've been talking to you because you cared. You came here wanting to hear what Art Williams had to say, and you hung on I called him up here to break. I said, you hung on every word. Coach Bryant says, if there's one thing that's helped me be a good coach, it's my ability to recognize winners, or good people who can become winners by playing the big ones. How about that? See, I picked old Jared out. I was going to make sure he signed on board. I was going to make sure I got a commitment from him, because I can win with people like Jared. Look at it. Little things make a difference. Remember what I talked about? See, where did Art Williams get all this crap? I didn't get it from professors, right? I didn't get it from Tom Hopkins, right? You think he can talk this language? Huh? Heavens. I wish I could ask you. I just can't do it to you because I'd lose so much respect for you. How many of y'all had gone to see Tom Hopkins or another sales educator? See, he don't understand this. Little things make a difference. It ain't what you say. It ain't how you close a sale. It ain't how you ask for referrals. That crap is nothing. Anybody dumb can learn that, right? It's the little things. Everyone is well prepared in the big things. How about that? Everyone's well prepared in the big things. Everybody can get a license, understand insurance, understand investment, but only the winners perfect the little things. How about that, Matt? How about that, Matt? Yep. That's what A.L. Williams was. It wasn't what we did, it's who we were. You know, I've said a lot of unbelievable things. You know, I was the first person in the history of the world that said all you can do is all you can do, but ain't that something? You know, before Nike said just do it, I said that. You know that? Ain't that something? Hey, you know what? You know what? You know what? I might have been the first person in the world that said it's not what you do, it's who you are. Make sure you write that damn thing down, okay? That's what I believe A.L. Williams was. It's not what you do, it's who you are. It's not buy a term and invest the difference. It's who you are. You where I learned that? From Coach Bryant. From Coach Bryant, Coach Taylor. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and guts between dreams and success. How about that? See, I don't promise you something for nothing. I used to tell everybody, one of my recruiting pitches, you remember this, Bob? First 2 years, everything you touch turns to crowd. Yep. Ain't that right? Yeah. Oh, you're going to go recruit these people. They're going to say, I'm going to give you my life. I'm going to be in there in the foxhole with you, blah, blah, blah. And in 2 weeks from now, you ain't going to be able to find them. Ain't that right? You're going to go replace this policy with this other policy. Prudential's going to come back and say, well, I can give you a term for 2 cents a month cheaper. And they're going to drop your policy. You're going to get a $180 charge back, you know. And it's just going to eat you up, somebody to treat you like that, right? That's just get ready. Look at the last page. This is who we were. I've always tried to teach my players to be fighters. When I say that, I don't mean put up your dukes and get in a fist fight over something. I'm talking about facing adversity in your life. There's not a person alive who isn't going to have some awful bad days in their life. I tell my players that what I mean by fighting is when your house burns down, when your wife runs off with a drummer, when you've lost your job, and all the odds are against you. What are you going to do? Most people just lay down and quit. Well, I want my people to fight. Wait, now, ain't that something? Nicole, do you know how important that is to have a leader that can talk like that? That's who we were. That's who we were. Jim, I know you look for a cheap way to get these people up here. But you know what? What would you pay to have 2 hours with Art Williams talking like this? Huh? I mean, and I don't want you to clap or anything like that. What does that mean? You know, I honestly, and I hate to say this to you. I don't want you to take it the wrong way. But I think the reason y'all are down here and we're up here, I really believe you don't have it in you every day. And we had it in us every day. We had this environment. We would electrify your butt every opportunity meeting, every fast start school, every recruiting interview, every sales interview. Man, we didn't ever let it down. We didn't ever show weakness. We didn't ever show hurt. We were always up. I was going to put your butt on top of the light pole. You know what?
Wow.
Some of you told me at the break, you've listened to hundreds of hours. I might be as good as I was back in 1977. Yeah, don't clap at that. You know what? I'm 73 years old. I've had open heart surgery. I've had 2 thumb surgeries. I tore my Achilles tendon. I shattered my knee. And I've had some other stuff. I've replaced both lenses in my eyes. But you know what? I might have been as good tonight as I've ever been. Hey, what? Hey. You know what? See, I really believe this. I'm not just saying this. You can't get it up every day. You can't get it up every presentation. I'm going to close with this. You got a scratch pad out? I'm going to give you a little homework to do tonight. Let me close with this. A coach believes you win with people. A coach believes, listen to this now, folks. This is what Coach Bryant said. This ain't what I said, okay? He said, you're coaching people. You're coaching people. You got to teach people how to work. See, a lot of people think they know how to work. They don't know how to work, Eric. You got to teach people how to work. And the best way you teach them is show them, right? Your example, right? You got to coach them how to work. You got to coach them how to sacrifice. You know, most people in America today, they grow up in this environment where, you know, everybody treats them so special, right? And they try to make it so, and I've done that to my great-grandbabies. I mean, that little sailor. I mean, that woman, she's, how old is she? 8 months. Man, we were at Amelia Island we always go down there. I think it was the 34th year we take our extended family to Amelia Island, 4th of July on a weekend. I bet you I changed 20,000 diapers, you know, and fed baby and all that kind of stuff. And I really got to know my little 8-month-old, and she stole my heart. Me and that baby connected, man. My little sailor's something else. And I know I'm spoiling her. I know she ain't going to come up tough like me. I mean, I already got a darn trust set up for those great-grandbabies, you know. Now, she ain't going to have a chance. She ain't going to have a chance to do what I did. And it hurt. I mean, that ain't right. That ain't right. Not to give my babies a chance like that, right? So you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You want to make them feel secure, you know, where they never have to go without food and the necessary, you know, they ain't going to be mega wealthy, right? But they ain't going to have to worry about nothing, money. And I hate that in a way. My little sailor she ain't going to have a chance, Jim, to be like me and you. And that ain't right to deprive somebody of that chance, honestly. But what in the hell do? You got all this money, and what do you do? Do you try to protect them from all the hurts and all that kind of crap? Or you try to let them get out there and slop it up like I did, right? I mean, it's a hard decision, right? I want them to get out there and slop it up. I want to know what it's like to go without, right? But then I can't look at my little sailor. I can't look at that little, I mean, me and her connected. You understand that? I mean, I put her in the bed with me at night. She slept with me at night, and I put her in the middle of the bed, you know, and I got a big old, you know, breathing CPAP machine, you know, and all that kind of crap on me, you know, and I put her in the middle of the bed, you know, and before I know it, the little baby is moved over underneath me, you know, and she's got her toes digging in my little back, you know, and her fingers digging, and I can't put her out there in the real world and make it tough. I just can't do it to my sailor. Ain't that right? I just can't do it, right? I swear, man, I was good tonight. God, oh, I mean, 73 years old. No, I mean, honestly, I just invented a new phrase. It ain't what you do, it's who you are. That's brilliant. You know, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, how many people can invent something that's never been said before, right? I've invented 3 or 4 things. Ain't that something? 73 years old. I've been out of the business 25 years. I'm in the resort business now, for heaven's sake, right? See, you got to coach, sacrifice, work, toughness, self-discipline, teamwork, right? Coaches, listen to this. See, I try to tell you how to be a coach, right? See, coaches believe in, you learn out there on the field practicing. You learn in the weight room lifting weights. You learn out there on the track working on your speed, right? For every hour you spend in a meeting, you spend 100 hours out there working on your toughness, learning how to sacrifice. Ain't that right? Okay, right now, every one of you, start writing down what kind of meetings you take your people to. Write them down right now. Start writing down. What kind of meetings? You have an opportunity meeting? Yes. Okay. Well, 1 a week? Yes. I know somebody in Primerica that has 2 a day. Wow. I ain't going to tell you who it is because you'd lose respect for him. But you ought to lose respect for him. But opportunity meetings, you have fast start schools. You have licensing classes. Do people go to that? Yep. You have training classes. You do that every week. What else you have? You have a convention. You're going to spend 5 days down in Atlanta. You really don't need nothing, Mary, after tonight. I just got through telling you, meetings a waste of time, right? You make your money in the field, right? Well, why are you going to go down to Atlanta and listen to that crap for 5 days? Right? But you're going to do it. How many hours are you going to spend down there every day? Write it down. You're going to spend, what, 7, 8 hours a day down there? For 4 days? How many hours is that? 32 hours? 12 hours? 12 hours a day. Well, write it down. You're going to be down there 3 days. Write it down. What you do? Hey, I understand you got women's meetings. What else you got? Partnership meetings. Technical college meetings. OSJ meetings. Write it down. Oh, what else you got? Millennium. I don't even know what that word means. I hear that crap all the time from Primerica. This is millenniums. I don't want a millennium. I want somebody like Jared, right? Don't talk to me about millenniums. What the hell is a millennium, right? I want a stud, right? Ain't that right? Who in the dog crap comes up with this thing? We're entering the millennium generation and all that bullshit. You know, ain't that right, Jerry? That is the biggest pile of dog crap. That's what's wrong with you folks, right? Okay, how many hours we got figured out here? What y'all going to do this week? You're going to spend 30 hours at the convention. We're going to spend 5 or 6 hours up here with me and Angela, right? You're going to have an opportunity meeting. You're going to have a training meeting. You're going to have a women's meeting. You're going to have a Hispanic meeting. You're going to have a partnership meeting. You're going to have a technology meeting. You're going to have an OSJ meeting. You're going to have y'all going to some convention, I know, this year, right? Write it down. Where y'all going this year? Atlanta. Huh? The Bahamas. Write it down. How much time are you going to spend at the Bahamas? 4 days? It takes you to go to the Bahamas. It'll take you a couple-hour plane ride, right? Couple-hour plane ride back. Our taxi cab ride down there, right? Write all that down. Write it down. See, you know what coaches do? They put you out there on the field. They practice until you're perfect. They put you in that weight room. They put you on that track, right? For every 1 hour a coach spends, they spend 100 hours out there making you tough. Okay, now after you make that list, now put another line, and let's see how much you do in the field this week. Is that a shocker? See, y'all got everything backwards. Ain't that right? Let me tell you about the first base shop in this company. It was mine. I recruited the first person. I sold the first person. The first couple of years in AOE, it was really ITT back then, we didn't have any opportunity meetings. We didn't have any license meetings. When I recruited Rusty Crossan in the business, I said, Rusty, this is your book to get an insurance license. This is your book to get a securities license. Don't bug me. I ain't got time because I'm in the field, right? I got to make sales to feed my babies, right? I had a goal. This, folks, for years in my base, I had a goal of having 2 appointments a night, 5 nights a week, make 1 sale a day, recruit 3 people a week. How many people do that today? I did that for a few years. And then all of a sudden I recruited Rusty Crossan and Randall Walker and Bob Buson and T. Faircloth. And then I had some other guys that could be field trainers. And so then I moved in after a couple, 3 years, I moved into a phase where I would cut my 5 nights a week with 2 appointments, where I'd cut it down to 2 or 3 nights a week, 2 or 3 appointments, and I'd work with my field trainers. And I'd teach Rusty how to be a field trainer. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Rusty, it was way on down the line before we started having opportunity meetings. Way on down the line. I didn't have enough time to I was trying to build studs. Teach them how to work, how to sacrifice, to do the important things, right? A coach